if it's bull or bear, I don't care. It's quite a rough ride, just like life. But I'm kinda patient, 'cause only time will tell. It's gonna go up, so you better stay calm. And grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins. Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins. Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins. Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow, and what a day it's been. There's a few articles that I want to go over. Obviously, we had a pretty big dump today. This is Bitcoin right here on a daily chart, drop below the moving average, which it did so in speedy fashion. And if you look here, there's just not a lot holding it up. So, this little mini reversal here, I don't think is going to turn into much. If anything, we might bounce back off of the moving average and then continue to move back down. So it is what it is. Cardano's currently at $1.02, about 44 cents down from when I sold it. And listen, this doesn't please me. This really doesn't please me, but there's a much larger picture that I'm going to cover in a future video. There's a big TA video that I want to do because I have this kind of formula that's been in my head, and it's one of the reasons why I sold when I did. And I think it's a bit of a combination between the Wyckoff system and Elliott wave, and then using some of the other things like volume and other things as supplemental indicators to that whole system. And at some point I will do a full-blown video on it, because I want to get to a point where I am doing some pretty in-depth technical analysis, because I've never touted myself as a TA guy. It is what it is. I definitely want to dive deeper into it, because quite frankly, I feel like I've been doing pretty well. And I think I have enough. I've been at it kind of on and off since 2017. And I think I've established enough. I just don't ever want people to trade on my TA, but I'd love to be able to show where my thoughts are, which is one of the reasons I'm very vague oftentimes. So it is what it is. So let's jump right to it. After I've got 3 articles that I want to cover, and then I do have a paid interview segment that I did today that actually turned out really cool. I mean, the project really turned out to be something of interest to me. I'll just leave it at that for now, but stay tuned for that because it's worth checking out, especially if you're into NFTs or fractionalized NFTs. I'll give you that clue. But before we get into that, Biden is expected to issue his executive order on crypto and CBDCs next week, says report. Both President Barack Obama and the previous administration issued executive orders related to digital assets. The White House will reportedly be issuing an executive order as early as next week. I've said I figured this was coming in February. I mean, it's a little later than I expected, but if it comes out next week, I mean, it's pretty much... I think that not only is that right on par, but I think that's a big reason why things are dumping. Outside of the Russian and Ukraine situation, which I'm going to go into that a tad bit because I have an idea based off an article I just saw, and I'm like, okay, this is making a little more sense. Now, in a Thursday report from Yahoo Finance, Jennifer Schonberger said an official familiar with the matter within the Biden administration revealed the executive order could arrive as soon as next week. The directive from President Biden would reportedly order the Office of the Attorney General, the State Department, and the Treasury Department to study the potential rollout of a U.S.-issued central bank digital currency. Got news, folks. It's coming. There's no plan. I find this funny because They're trying to make it like, oh, well, we might. Let's look into it. It could be a good idea. No, it's happening. It's already happening in other places. It's going to happen here. I think if anything, they're trying to figure out how to best get people to adopt it quickly. And I think that's really what it's about. I don't think it's about whether or not they're going to do it. It's happening. 100%. In addition, the director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy, the newly appointed Alondra Nelson, would provide an evaluation on the infrastructure needed for the U.S. to support a digital dollar. By that, again, I think they mean, how do we get everybody to use this that aren't in crypto already? Because realistically, a very small percentage of the global public, let alone the United States, is actually into crypto, understands anything about it. And it's still a new thing, but they're trying to be a little more proactive, I think, which is actually, it could be a good thing. I don't necessarily know if I like where some of this could be going, but I don't think any of us are going to have a choice. Whether you like it or not, it's happening. The agency will reportedly plan to issue a report to the U.S. president on distributed ledger technology within 180 days, with an update expected on its environmental impact in 545 days. Interesting. Under the executive order, the Financial Stability Oversight Council would study financial stability issues resulting from the introduction of cryptocurrencies. The SEC, CFTC, Federal Reserve, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and Office of the Comptroller of the Currency will consider measures to protect the markets and report to the president on methods to mitigate risks and respect to crypto. So, I mean, interesting. So they basically want to, they want to protect everyone. Cool. And they want to basically, what this reads is they're basically saying, look, we want to come in, we want to regulate it, we want to make it safer without killing the space. I guess we'll have to see what that actually ends up meaning. Because let's face it, I mean, crypto is still Wild West. I mean, it really is. And there's a lot of aspects to the cryptocurrency space that I don't really like. I don't like how everything seems like a hacker's free for all. They're running rampant, snatching bags left and right, and there's nobody that really do much about it. I know that the FBI has task force, and I know some people who have been hacked and have since recovered what was hacked. And I know that I feel to some degree that the governments have ways of tracking a lot of this stuff down, but they don't really want people to know. And so I don't think it's quite as dangerous, so to speak. But the CBDC token, I know, I would hazard a guess, like any fool willing to try and hack and steal some of those, I believe those can be turned off with a light switch, and I believe those can be tracked like no other. And I don't think there's any way around it. But, you know, at the same time, I think about a lot of this and I think to myself, how long has it been since we've been playing games in different worlds, or, Blade Runner, all these different movies, these sci-fi movies based in the future, and they all use some form of credits, digital currency, digital credits, that sort of thing. I mean, this is the way of the future. How it plays into politics, how it plays into control, some of this stuff really does scare the hell out of me. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be something that my children have to contend with more than my generation. But we're definitely going to be laying the groundwork for a lot of stuff as we move forward. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Federal Trade Commission, and Office of the Attorney General will study the impact of digital assets on market competition. The director and chair of the first two aforementioned agencies, respectively, will review privacy concerns for the space. So this is coming. I mean, an executive order is coming. I think it's scaring a lot of people. I think it's scaring people out of the space. But I will also say this. I don't really think that this kind of executive order type business is really the grand scheme. I don't think it's the cause for the markets going down the way they are. I think it's everything else. I just think that ultimately this is a fairly typical cycle for Bitcoin and thus cryptocurrencies. I think what's happening is happening regardless of regulation or whatever. I think if anything, they want to have the CBDC tokens in place. I think they want to get rid of a lot of these stable tokens that are, especially the unregulated stable tokens. They want to get rid of unregulated exchanges. I think they want to tighten the group. I think they want to clean house a bit, usher in the CBDC. And I think honestly, at that point, we'll probably start seeing federal insurance and things like that, protecting our assets from unknown bad actors or happenstance. Because with that kind of control, while it's not necessarily in the vein of crypto or decentralization, if you're going to trade and you're going to invest in projects and then you decide you want to get out, you want to put it into something that, maybe insured, maybe trackable if something happens or an exchange gets hacked. And, I don't know. I'm still so on the fence. And I think a lot of people are, how is this going to be, how is this going to play out in terms of the Great Reset theory or whatever you want to call it? Now, this leads me to this. Ukraine legalizes Bitcoin. The country's parliament backed in final reading an updated bill to legalize Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. This, I think, is kind of a bigger deal than some people may think. Bitcoin is now legal in Ukraine as its parliament approved in final reading a bill that caters to the president's recommendations. However, the country has not made Bitcoin a legal tender. Now, you can read down further into this if you want, but I only wanted to share this to make one point. As I understand it, the Ukraine has a very drastic financial impact. On a global level for a lot of different reasons. And if Russia is wanting the Ukraine and Russia is now adopting and supporting Bitcoin, and supposedly Russia is fighting against this very great reset that everybody, really, it feels like everyone else in the world is adopting and enforcing and pushing. I find it interesting that while all of this is going on between Russia and the Ukraine comes out and says, okay, Bitcoin's cool. I don't know if there's a connection there, but I'm thinking there's a connection there. If the Ukraine does have certain, let's just say, leverage or powers as it relates to the global economy or whatever, I don't even know what I'm allowed to talk about without getting kicked in the face by YouTube, so I'm trying not to throw it all out there, but I just think that there's some connections. I think that them doing this is likely at the behest of Russia for whatever reason. And I think that this is all part of a grand scheme for Russia to try and stay out of everything that's happening the world over. For better or worse, I don't know. But I just think that there's some connection here. Ethereum dominance will go down as competitors emerge, says Morgan Stanley. The sentiment is true. I have a lot of discussions with people all the time about Ethereum and about Cardano and about other blockchains and what I think might be happening and what's coming and so forth and so on. And listen, Ethereum has had a long time now. It's basically had almost two full cycles. You're talking, 7-8 years. Well, not that long. It's been quite a while though. 6-7 years. And it still struggles. It still has a lot of the same problems it's always had. And the more that it's adopted and used, the more people there are that are pissed. They're tired of blowing money on transaction fees. They're tired of, a good day in the market means you're paying an asinine fees to try and transfer, an Ethereum-based asset from point A to B. And I just think Ethereum's on its way out. And I think Cardano, and not just Cardano, to be frank with you, I think there are other blockchains that are third gen that are going to start picking up a lot of Ethereum slack. And I think that some of the adoption is going to stem from strong use cases on much stronger use cases than money laundering through NFTs. Okay. I think the heyday of, especially when Biden and his executive order and the regulations and all of that stuff starts coming into play, I'm telling you, man, as much as a lot of people don't want to hear it, I think that I just think the heyday of Ethereum and a lot of these like $20 million NFTs and all of that stuff, I don't think that's going to last much longer. I mean, I could be wrong. You can meme me later. I think NFTs are a big deal. I think fractionalized NFTs are a big deal. I think a lot of this stuff is going to be a big deal, and it's going to continue to grow in use case, adoption, technology, different avenues where they're used and benefiting people. But ultimately, I think that the whole $20 million JPEG on the blockchain type business only serves one real purpose, and I think that purpose is likely going to be thwarted soon. And with that, so will Ethereum. And it's going to be blockchains that are able to be utilized for more significant, legitimate, sought after use cases. And those blockchains are going to be the ones that take over for Ethereum. And I know a lot of people, you're holding Ethereum and you're, oh, Crow, you're full of shit. Oh, Crow, you're a fudder. I'm not trying to FUD. I'm just telling you what I think. I've been at this since 2017. I've seen so much shit come and go just in my brief tenure here in crypto land. And for a lot of people that are out there and they're watching some dumbass talk about random shit on YouTube, which that could include me, okay? But I see a lot of people, they've been in the space for 6 months. They watch a few YouTubers and they think they've got it all figured out. And I'm telling you, you're wrong. I mean, that's all there is to it. You're wrong. And it is what it is, but I do think Ethereum's days are numbered. And it's not even that I hate Ethereum. I love Ethereum. I mean, if it wasn't for Ethereum, I probably wouldn't even be in crypto. Okay. There is some love for Ethereum, but when I think about things on a technological level, a programmability level, a security level, all of these different things, I mean, I think Ethereum's days are numbered. And I think Cardano, and some of these other blockchains are likely going to rise up and take advantage of some of that market capitalization. And I think that a lot of that is going to start. I mean, think about it. We've got Hydra coming for Cardano, folks. When Hydra launches, it's game over. I believe it's game over. I mean, you're talking about being able to do microtransactions on the blockchain through Cardano. I mean, you can't do that on Ethereum. And there's just a lot of stuff that's coming down the pipe for Cardano. And ultimately, when I do buy back in, it's going to be Cardano that I buy back into. And I'm just waiting at this point, I'm just going to wait for a bottom. So stick around because I've got this interview coming up and I really do think you're going to enjoy it. We have some fun, but we get into something that I think you guys are going to like. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. Hopefully you've been enjoying some of the content in today's video. I have a guest here who he's actually working on what I jokingly told him is a bit of a hippie project because it looks like the man wants to try and save the world with the blockchain. We'll see how that goes. Now, this is... in full disclosure, as usual, it's a paid interview, but if you've watched my channel for a while, you know I don't really do many interviews anymore. And this is one where it came in and then I started looking into it and I started watching other videos about the project, about my guest today, Berwin Tonko, and I thought, okay, this actually looks cool. And I figure I'm gonna let him go over some of the finer points of the project Ekta, or the Ektaverse, because there's a lot going on with this thing. And I don't want to call this a niche project, but it's something that I wasn't overly familiar with before it was presented to me. And in doing some digging, I thought, let's get them on. Let's talk. Let's do it. Why not? So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you Berwin Tonko, co-founder and CEO of Ekta. And first of all, thanks for joining me. Thanks for sitting through so patiently with a smile on your face the entire time through all the technical difficulties. Only something that someone of Zen, I think, could suffer through with me. But welcome. I'm like still monitoring the audio level. So tell me a little bit about the first thing I want to know, what spawned this project? Like, out of all the blockchains, all the projects, everything that's out there in the world right now, what inspired the creation of Ekta?
So I'm a business owner here. I'm actually a property developer. And when the world shut down in March 2020, the island was left with zero tourists. And I was one of the foreigners that had a business here. We're about probably 100,000 of us here. And so we just got together and started trying to figure out how to pivot our business. And fortunately, there were a lot of people in crypto and the blockchain that were also living in the island at that time. And they told me, hey, bro, and you have so much property and hotels, shut down and your development stopped. Why don't you pivot your business and try to tokenize it? Because it makes sense. And you can, sell your property in fractions, for example, and still, develop, your property business. And so I started studying about it. Started studying about blockchain. I read about 200 white papers, talked to more people in the industry. And as I studied the blockchain, I found out that actually it could not only solve problems in the real world, like fractionalizing property and accessing capital. So I also found out that it could actually, I found out about DeFi and metaverse and gaming, play to earn gaming, and there's a lot of problems that we have here in Southeast Asia that the first world, like developed countries, don't have. So we have, lack of access to capital. A lot of illiquid assets. It's difficult to get mortgages. There's a lot of destruction in natural resources here, like deforestation and pollution in the seas and devastation with the coral reefs. So I figured I should create some kind of like micronation where, like-minded people like us could create something better for what we currently have. So so Ekta was formed that way. So basically what we did is we created a blockchain mainnet, which is Ekta, the Ekta mainnet. So we are actually a mainnet. That's the foundation of Ekta. And this mainnet can create a lot of things. Basically, it's an ecosystem where we can create an NFT marketplace to offer real world businesses and use cases that we can, NFT in the blockchain. We have our DeFi where we actually use real companies' funds to take them off-chain to on-chain and then lend it off-chain again to people who actually need it, like someone that needs a payday loan or build a pension fund, create some form of health insurance. And then we're creating a metaverse, some kind of game that I created with my partners where we actually have NFT land and NFT seed and oxygen and water, and it actually creates a tree NFT, and this tree NFT actually goes to planting trees in the metaverse, but actually in the real world we actually plant trees, preserve forests, and offset carbon as well. So so we basically are a blockchain that bridges to the physical world. So we try to improve people's lives and help the environment.
I dig that. And I know that one of the things that you guys are getting into are fractionalized NFTs, which is something that I think ultimately is going to take over in a big way. I mean, right now, all the NFTs are, multi-million-dollar JPEG images, and I just did a video. I put out a video today where I talked about, the NFT market basically being a big money laundering scheme, because that's a big... Who buys a $2 million JPEG? I mean, let's be real, and people can say, well, that's just what, rich people use as collectibles. I call bunk on that. I know that there are communities out there where everybody's buying and trading each other's NFTs and just kind of washing all this money all over the place. And while I feel like to some degree, when I think of the crypto market and like the newest technologies to hit the market, it's always the more unscrupulous or nefarious industries that adopt new technology before anybody else does, because everybody uses these opportunities as a window to kind of achieve a lot of things they couldn't have yesterday. And then once that stuff is ultimately ironed out, I think some of which is going to be the regulations that are coming down the pipe for a lot of this stuff, then it not only secures the space a little bit more, but then it starts moving that technology into the more legitimate operations. And I think that fractionalized NFTs are really going to be what I think is next, because it's going to allow people to invest in real estate on a global level through NFT marketplaces and platforms. And I know that that's one of the things that you guys are focusing on with properties and I guess Bali. How is that handled from a legal perspective? I mean, that's the one question I've always had. How do you handle title and ownership and all of that, associate them with the blockchain and an NFT, and then distribute it for sale?
Yeah, so the way to do it over here, because the island's mainly full of secondhand, not secondhand homes, holiday homes. So foreigners can't really own a property freehold outright. So basically, all of us own villas and land here through a leasehold title. And through a leasehold title, we don't really need to go through the land department and exchange the certificate. So what happens is we do the leasehold agreement transfer through a lawyer or a notary. So we still go through the whole process of doing due diligence on the property, making sure that there's no court cases, there's no mortgage on it, there's the access road is okay, you have access to your land. There's no dispute or anything like that. So offline, we do all the due diligence that a normal person or a company would do if they want to purchase property. And then after all of that's done, that takes about 30 to 60 days. We put it on chain. So once it's clean and it's the property's ready to be sold, we put it on the chain, and so that can just go really quickly. So it's already there. It's the ledger. It's the title's clean. And put it on the chain. It's immutable, so everyone can read it. Read about the property and how much it costs and how many years left on the lease, and so we can break up that property in fractional NFTs and sell it to people that are interested in investing first time in real estate, but they can't afford to purchase the entire property.
So
the benefit.
Go ahead.
Yeah. The benefit, it benefits both parties. So it really benefits the property developer because he can find ways to sell property quickly, and for the property investor, he can purchase a property in fractions, so as low as $200 to $300.
Okay, so let's say I bought a piece of a property in Bali for $300. What other benefits are associated with that? Are these properties then like rented out as Airbnb luxury properties to travelers, and then the revenues distributed to the NFT holders? Or is this what's the overall money making, revenue stream from these?
Yeah, there's two ways for the investor to earn stable income, a monthly income. One is through the rental income from the rental pool. And the second thing is, because it's part of the Ekta chain and the Ekta ecosystem, they can stake the NFTs and earn passive income also through our staking rewards from, let's say, our Ekta staking pool, or we're going to have an exchange as well with other tokens, so they can pair those as well and have income from that. So
let's say. Now I'm like turning on my investor mind, and I'm thinking, okay, if I bought a fraction of a property, right? Am I using Ekta token to do that? And then if I'm staking the NFT, am I generating Ekta tokens? So ultimately I could invest in one property, generate a yield from both sides of that, and then continue reinvesting into additional fractionalized properties?
That's right. That's right. Because we are our own mainnet and we have our own native token. So the utility of Ekta, one of the utilities so we're in 2 weeks from now, we're launching our NFT marketplace with the first major launches with the U.S. military veterans. It's called Have NFT on the 7th of March. And then on the 24th of March, we're launching the Ekta real estate. So basically, the process is either if you have a credit card, you can use the credit card to purchase Ekta, or if you have crypto, you can swap it for Ekta, and then you can use that Ekta to mint the NFTs. So that's basically the process that's going to happen with all our NFT mints in our ecosystem.
So I can effectively build a portfolio of revenue yielding real estate in Bali if I want.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're starting in Bali. Yeah, we're starting in Bali. That's the pilot. We've signed up with two large real estate development companies here. One of them is called Finn Lifestyle Village. The other one's called K Club. And
Finn Lifestyle Village. That sounds fun.
It's quite cool. They have a beach club. It's actually a massive beach club. It's probably one of the biggest in the world. Really fun, and you can actually have massive, daytime party and events for 6,000 people.
Wow!
And they also have, their own country club where they have tennis and gyms and every, football pitch and basically the development is going to be between the beach club and the country club. So it's a real lifestyle. Like you people here actually, they
anytime I hear lifestyle, I think a bunch of swingers. So you're like lifestyle, and it's like, oh, so there's 6,000 swingers gathering around Bali for a big party.
There might be a few of them.
Might be. I'm just saying there might be.
Yeah, because Bali is very much like a healthy place. There's a big surf culture here, and there's a big yoga and gym culture. So everyone's trying to stay fit. But yeah, everyone likes to throw a nice party in the evening during sunset, get loose. So yeah, lifestyle.
Now I see why you're always so happy. I get it. No, it's all cool, man. So outside of Bali property, I'm like watching Bitcoin break down below the moving average. So welcome to doom. I bet you we're probably, wow, that doesn't look good. I mean, we're going to be at 39,000. I bet you probably by the time we're done finishing this video. I have all these charts going up on my other screen while I'm doing this. I'm like, oh God, this is not good. But so you say you're moving into other realms, other places. You're building direct partnerships with builders at this point, and then you're saying, hey, are you acquiring the rights to so many properties per builder, or is that ultimately what the goal is?
Yeah, so basically I convince most of them to give me a section of their development and test it out, because this is all new to everyone, and it seems like they're quite open to it, because it makes sense to do that, because it gives them a chance to raise capital quickly. Mm-hmm. Also, the nice thing with an NFT, because they're a branded property developer, they can get royalties as well for that, because they work hard on marketing their brand and paying a lot of money to boost their brand and make sure that their image looks good. So they also have some royalties for that, and that's really attractive for them.
I have to say, it all sounds good. And what's funny is that you came across my desk, at a time when I have started to really look. I'm looking beyond the pixel, like the images, right? Like I feel like all of that's just gimmicky. And the fractionalized NFT market, if you think about it, we're going to end up in a place where virtual real estate is, I believe, going to be fractionalized and turned into passive income streams for people. Not so much like early adopters, people who are getting in on a lot of this virtual land, they're probably not going to do that. But newcomers to the space, as the land in these metaverses and things start to skyrocket in value outside of the realm of any one particular person's ownership or purchase potential, it's going to be the collaborative interest of many that buy into these things and start generating passive yields from them. So, the idea that this is happening with real property, a friend of mine who I used to do business with for years and years, he partnered up with somebody that his family owns an island. And they're turning this whole island into some resort with all kinds of, I forget what he called them, but they're like these little like luxury huts. And, and he's wanting to sell these, I don't know, there's like 300 of these things or whatever. And they're wanting to sell them all almost like it's like this luxury island, and you can rent a hut, you can own a hut, and it's like a big deal. And I'm like, I haven't tried talking him into anything yet, but I'm like, something tells me that that's going to become like an NFT based transaction. So it might be somebody I connect you with, and you could say, hey, you wanna do something with these. I can't remember where the island is, but it's like, it's not in the US. It's like might be Virgin Islands or something. I don't remember. I don't know where it is, but yeah, that could be another avenue for you. I'll have to bring it up to him and see what he has to say. Now, outside of just the fractionalized NFTs and all of this, what else is the ultimate end goal? Like, you know, it seems to be that this project is focused a lot around, you know, the environment to a big degree. And so explain a little bit about how, you know, through all of these different practices and partnerships and things, what's going into the environment in that sense.
Yeah, so this idea of our game called Meta Trees came about when we were developing Ekta at the same time. We were also thinking, we were just trying to figure out what are the problems that we face here, especially in Indonesia and Southeast Asia. And one of them is there used to be a lot of trees, and every year there's less and less of them. And we were thinking, hey, why do people value gold and diamonds so much? I mean, can they eat it and can they drink it? I mean, that's a natural resource that won't save you when you need to, when you're hungry or, So I was thinking, what's the most valuable natural resource? It's actually oxygen and water, and people don't value that in the real world. They just take it for granted. But if that disappears, then we're in deep trouble. And so I thought, we thought about trying to make sure that, because I have children, and and for me, I don't want to leave them with a crappy world when I die. So and when they grow up. So we thought, yeah, let's focus on preserving the forests and also the oceans. And that the biggest idea came when I was in Scotland last November during the COP26. And people were protesting against these carbon credits and carbon offsetting, how like the corporations were greenwashing, they're just polluting, they're just purchasing more carbon credits just to pollute more. So I thought, why don't I create a game where I could actually, obtain get mass adoption, get the consumers to offset their carbon and, do good and plant trees by volunteering. And the best way to get there is through gaming, because gaming can really get to this mass adoption where people, if I embed the carbon credits inside the NFTs or the tokens and they play the game and they use that to level up, then get rewarded with that and then trade it later for a higher price, that would have a massive impact to save the environment. So we came up with this game called Meta Trees. And it's basically an NFT-based DeFi game, and it's just a game packed with NFTs, like a virtual land and some NFT seeds and some tree tokens, where you can start playing the game, planting the seed, and growing the tree. And you need to take care of the tree every day for it to grow, and you can level up by purchasing an oxygen or a water like an NFT. And yeah, it basically it helps two things. It basically helps people play to earn, because the wages here in Indonesia are really low. It's like $200 a month.
Oh wow!
Same with the Philippines. Yeah. So by playing these games, you can earn maybe $400 to $600 a month, which is like 3 times your salary. So that's life changing for them. And at the same time, it goes through the proceeds of the game. Part of it goes to planting trees, preserving forests, and offsetting carbon. So it's a win-win. The environment wins and the human being wins. And I mean, we're not a charity. We're not a non-profit organization. We're for profit. I mean, I just want to do business while doing good. So we're trying to profit with purpose instead of just doing something that's.
I'm all about that. I'm all about that. I get it. And I mean, realistically, a lot of companies, they tout their nonprofit status, and all that really means is a percentage of your profits going back into the company. Like, it doesn't really mean they're not trying to make a profit. And I'm pretty sure that the CEOs of these companies benefit substantially. So, I could launch a nonprofit tomorrow and be, look at me, I'm nonprofit and I can make $10 million a year. Like, who gives a shit? So yeah, the fact that you're like, yeah, we're for profit, but we're going to help some people out in the meantime. So I respect that. There's no shame in that. Do you, and this is an off the cuff question, but do you believe in global warming? You think that's a real thing, or do you think it's all cyclical and it's marketed to like scare everybody?
That's really interesting. When I was about 30 years ago, when I was growing up in the Philippines, I used to go to this island called Boracay, and I recall during low tide, I could walk about a mile, out to the ocean, and the water is just practically no water, just sand. And I went to visit it 5 years ago, and during low tide, the water is all the way up to the shore. So I think looks like the sea level is rising. Same goes for Bali. When I arrived Bali about 12, 13 years ago, the sea level wasn't that high. I noticed it's a lot higher right now.
See, a part of me always wonders when I think about all this global warming, all this kind of like scare the world stuff, and I think about all the politicians that are making a killing from all of this. But I've also seen a lot of science that says it's cyclical. Like it's not because of farting cows. It's just the way that the world, it go, like everything else. Everything is a cycle. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to say I'm necessarily on the fence, but I'm definitely leaning more towards kind of, there's a lot of changes happening on a global level. But do I think it's because of like people breathing too much or cows farting on farms and like all of that? No, part of me thinks it's a narrative created to like enrich people that are out there pushing the mission and in charge of the laws and things associated with it. But I don't know. I also think all the time of Atlantis. I think, what if Atlantis was a civilization that was around, during a particular point in the cycle, and they just got washed out because shit happens. Like, like it wasn't, I doubt they had a lot of cows that were creating like ozone problems or anything, but I don't know. There's so much stuff that I don't know. But I was just kind of curious what your thoughts were.
I actually don't know about global warming so much. Mm-hmm. But what I do know is I surf and I swim in the sea, and the sea is full of plastics and the coral reef.
That's true. Yeah.
Dying. And I do know that there's less and less trees in the world. So these are the two things I know. So these are the two things I'm going to try to sort out in my own way, mm-hmm. and through Ekta and our team. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a big. I don't have a big opinion about many things. I just look at things practically. I say, okay, there's less trees. Let's plant more trees. The ocean's polluted. Let's clean it up. There's people that have no jobs. Let's try to create jobs through blockchain. If they're having a hard time accessing capital, let's figure out a way to get them some capital.
Yeah. Oh, I'm with you there. I have a bunch of opinions on all kinds of shit, and I'm always right sometimes. That's the way I look at it, and I'm fine with that. So I was actually going through your roadmap a bit. Let me see if I can get back to it, because this is there's a lot of time that's being planned out, and I was going through the team. I was reading through the white paper. I'm seeing your staking page. For those of you that are watching, there'll obviously be links in the description for all of this fun stuff, so you can go check it out. Check out the white paper, because the way you guys have it structured is very pretty, I must say. It's very, very well organized. Typically you just get a big PDF and you're just scrolling through it, but this is actually structured and organized with an index and links to the proper. I'm like, okay, cool. That's nice. Take some of the workload off. Tell me a little bit about some of the other team members, because I think that, obviously they're not here, but I was going through the advisors, and just the different people and some of the backgrounds. If you want, just touch on, who's working on this with you. It's obviously, it's not just one man with a mission. Like, who's helping you with this and what are their roles?
Yeah, we're actually a big team. We're a team of 73 people globally working on 7 different projects at the same time, building on top of our mainnet. But the main people that I speak to every day is he's on the webpage next to me. It's Yog Shusti, mm-hmm. Who has a tech background, and he's in charge of our strategy and technology. And he actually has a digital studio. He's running the digital studio in Bahrain, And then we have Jason, who is based in San Francisco. He's our chief marketing officer. And under him are an army of 25 people, helping in marketing, trying to get the word out there and trying to, just trying to keep improving, our messaging. And then we have Alex. Alex is also, he's our project manager and also kind of like our interim CTO. And he's basically, his background was in finance. So he was doing all the technology for the Hong Kong Monetary Authority. And then he moved to the Bank of Indonesia and was doing their back-end software system. So, and then other people, we have Melindy, who is also in marketing and copywriting and writing all these beautiful messages and words that you see on our website.
She's probably going to be the one that chews me up for this interview. She's like, who is this clown? Why did you go? No, I'm kidding. She'll love me.
She's great. She's great. She's from South Africa. So Alex is from Russia. She's from South Africa. I'm from the Philippines. And we got some people that's not on the website from China. And we have some people like Florian's from France. He's the ex-Cardano, Emergo Cardano CMO. And we've got Sven, who is now our chief investment officer. He's from Holland.
Now, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Zach is a crypto growth marketing expert with vast experience in building DeFi and NFT communities. The former global social media and product marketing manager at Emergo, that traitor. We're going to have to give him a few leg kicks. Yeah, I for some reason, I'm thinking I've talked to this gentleman before when he was with Emergo. I could be wrong, but I used to chat with a lot of those guys at one point. So I guess, yeah.
You probably know Zach and Florian, because Florian was also in Emergo. He was the CMO there.
Oh, you sniper, you just sniping folks from my communities. No, that's cool, man. I mean, there's plenty of love to go around, but yeah, that's cool. You snag some folks, man. You got some peoples on here.
Yeah, I actually watch your show and you talk about Cardano a lot and Charles Hoskinson. He's actually one of my heroes, and he's got me into blockchain because of what he's doing in Africa, and he has the berry tree as well. And yeah.
People either love him or hate him. I love and hate him. I mean, and I tell him, he's a character, man. I mean, he's a young, super wealthy, super smart guy. He's a manifester, and I respect that. And you know what? We don't always rub everybody the right way, but fuck off. That's kind of the way I see it. I shouldn't say that, but it's just like, there are a lot of people that love to hate, and they love to come up with all kinds of reasons to hate each other. And it's like, I love Charles and I love the way he is. I think he's a high D personality, just trying to get stuff done and rid himself of all the nonsense. And I'm down with that. I'm very much the same way. So, one thing I would actually ask you to look into is, with everything that you're doing in Bali, and I know that it's probably not necessarily the biggest need, but having moved to Puerto Rico and lived there for 6 months and seeing how things are there, I would love to see something like this kind of filter in to Puerto Rico and kind of empower the people there to start doing some big things for themselves. Because quite frankly, I was appalled at how a lot of things are handled there, from political to, just the government, and how a lot of that stuff, I feel like it's a very suppressive kind of place, man, that just doesn't want the people. I mean, there's two sides of this. Like the government is I feel like a government kind of has their hands pushing people down a bit. And then there are what a lot of the locals would call old heads who, they've lived their life. They've been there their whole life. It's been their way of life for so long. They don't want anything to change. Some of these people have never worked a day in their lives outside of their own kind of homestead, and they're fine with that. It's what they know. And but I think ultimately, man, I would love to see some more opportunity being presented there. And I mean, It was an eye-opening experience for sure. As somebody who doesn't travel much, being 7 foot tall, 300 pounds, I don't really like being in like, little metal condoms and 30,000 feet in the sky, like it's just not my thing. So I don't really like to travel, but having been there and seen so much, it's like a lot of people there who they just want to live and have fun and enjoy their lives. But it's like, man, every time you turn around, something's kicking them in the tail. And I would love to see some more infrastructure put in place, like World Mobile Token. Been talking to them for a while and waiting to see, like, they're working on licensing and things like that. I'd love to see them build a really solid mesh network for the 400,000 people on the island that don't have internet, and then, to have stuff like this to give people an opportunity to generate revenue from properties that they may have owned their entire lives, and give them an opportunity to generate revenue outside of maybe the Airbnb or whatever. I just think it'd be a good thing, but I don't know, man. I just thought I'd throw that out there. It's just something that maybe it's worth looking into, for whatever that might be worth.
Yeah, to tell you honestly, I mean, we're not limiting ourselves to Indonesia. We're starting here, but we're moving. We actually have projects around Southeast Asia, so we plan to expand in the Philippines and in Vietnam, and we already are doing something with the government of Sri Lanka. I went to Brazil a couple months back and to talk with some people there about preservation as well. And yeah, Latin America in general, it's the same situation here. There's a lot of I think the same thing that you're saying. There's a lot of the rich trying to suppress the poor, and the government, there's a lot of corruption. That's why I started Ekta, to tell you honestly. I actually have a chain of islands here, and that I own myself, and even have the concession to the water space. So I just thought, maybe I should just create my own micronation and just have like-minded people, and people that want to improve themselves. They can just come to our island and our community and just do our thing there, and
let's go.
Yeah, and having our own mainnet helps that as well, because we can control our own destiny. So yeah, that's kind of like the Ekta world concept that we have.
Yeah, I dig it. I'm going to keep my eye on this, man, and see how you grow. Keep in touch. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of people to do well. And it's never, to me, it's never really all about just one particular project or one particular blockchain. I think it's really going to be about a community of people working together for ultimately the same kind of goals. I've reached a point in my life where I've done well, and I try to enjoy every day, but now, I feel like a man who's accomplished a lot of goals, and now I'm without a purpose, and that keeps me up, because like a man without a purpose is nothing but meat and bones, so I'm always on the lookout for that thing that I can kind of attach to and be a part of and try and do some good. So I respect what you're doing, and I think it's great, and hopefully it sees you and everyone else involved doing well, and so yeah, come join me. If you're bored, just hit me up, man. Yeah, I'll go to that big 6,000 person lifestyle party on the islands there.
Yeah, we can do that as well.
Right.
It's not all work every day. We have fun as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to the fun right now. I feel like everything's about work. We try to have fun, man. I'm so stressed out all the time. So yeah, I will definitely, for those of you guys out there, check the links in the description. It's Ekta, EKTA.io, and then from there are links to pretty much everything else. Check it out. I think you guys will enjoy it. Berwin, thanks for joining me. Don't be a stranger. Like seriously, like keep, hit me up on Telegram or whatever. Keep an open line. Let's chat. Keep me abreast of like big things that are going on. And that's pretty much where we're at for right now. Is there any final thing, any notes you want to leave everyone with before we sign off?
I hope you can support Ekta and visit our website, ekta.io, join our socials in Twitter and Telegram, and I'll definitely hit you up and I'll update you from time and time again, show you what we're doing, and hopefully it's improving people's lives and improving things.
Yeah, I just joined the Ekta thing, the Ekta Telegram group. I clicked here to accept. Typically there's always a fake me in every group that I try to join. I generally get banned immediately. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, man, thanks for joining me. This is an interesting project. I do intend on keeping tabs and seeing how you guys grow and what kind of opportunities there are. And until next time, guys, thanks for joining us. Crow your coins, and I'll see you again very soon. Ekta.io.
Thank you. Bye.